Can you talk about how you got the sound? Did you use more than
microphones that were turned on? Yeah, you know, I'm not really big on post-production. You know, on looping after the fact. You know, we had a good, we had a good set. We had 2 cameras. You know, we had 2 live cameras, and we had, a lot of cameras that were hidden. Insofar that in a club like that, they would have the security and surveillance cameras, and the comedy effect of that. We just did the basic, two booms. The wires we're not big on, and we had a really good sound man, really strong sound man who, unfortunately he wanted to do the post sound also, but it didn't work out like that. But most of it was on. He didn't do much looping work. Well, you can't find him once the film's over. He's gone, like a cool breeze. And he might be talking in a German accent, or he's doing it.
You talked about the ensemble cast, but for a film like this, which is so fast and loose, how do you get everybody to really work in sync so well, to be on the same page?
A film like this, you need the Ray Ruby, or you need the actor who's going to really understand that. And, once he got it, and once he, doing a comedy for us, it's funny. I remember I told Scorsese we were going to do a comedy. He started laughing so hard. I think, oh, good. Got one leg up. But Life Aquatic was, like another film in the groove that I knew we wanted to try to make. Once you have that, these are actors. They rehearse. We spend a lot of time rehearsing it. And in the place, in the set, I mean, we use actors that know how to create a role, and know how to put it together. And I mean, Loose and Fast, you keep pushing for Loose and Fast, because when you have a script that the lines are down, and you're working, especially with the girls, the women there, we're talking about, most of them didn't speak English. And I don't speak Italian, and really, after living there for 3 years. And, like any club would have the Russians, this and that, but it's a matter of what? It's a matter of the script being solid, actors that know how to use the rehearsal process. Granted, we use a lot of non-actors in this situation, but, Willem playing the role that Ray Ruby would do. I mean, somebody's, is rehearsing those girls. Somebody is doing that. Somebody's putting that show together. It's obviously Willem, and I mean, from his background of, the theater group and all. I mean, I think,
Well, there was a strong script, but I think the situations were strong. Abel's idea of what the world was strong. I look back on it, and there was lots of looseness in the script. A lot of that I see up there was sort of invented, but it didn't feel invented. It didn't feel like, oh, okay, now we're going to improvise. It was about bridging gaps through kind of practical things we had to do in the story. Like there's a whole scene that just was sprung on me.
Which one was that?
The one with Bolte pregnant.
Oh yeah, right. Because that was Shannon.
It's like we got a gun where I had to make the day, and Abel says, "Hey, listen, we got this other thing we got to do,
Yeah.
and here's the situation. This is the deal. Let's just do it." And we did it, and I think because the relationships were set and strong, and the world was complete. It was fairly clear. It didn't feel like a strain. It didn't feel like you were inventing things. You were just really being practical. You had taken on that role from a very practical standpoint. It's like, get it done, make that club run. It was amazing how loose the improvisation was.
Yeah, no, because we built the club. We built that club. I mean, we built it to shoot in it. Jim Keddy was a DP for Bertolucci. He shot Dreamers, a lot of other things. I mean, he's really fabulous. We had worked a little bit together, but he doesn't speak English, and she doesn't really speak Italian, you know. He don't say a lot, you know. And Frankie, he built, you know, but they were there, the preparation, again, you know, we used to take a long time, you know, weeks and weeks, you know, the whole 50-day bit of shooting, but then somewhere along the line, I realized half the time we spent shooting is really rehearsing. And, you know, if you really want to get a crew pissed off, start rehearsing in front of them. And they want to go and watch the Giant game on Monday night, you know. So, you know, so we started working in the rehearsals and started that preparation. And like I say, well, you know, we understand, you know, from a New Yorker point of view, even though he's from Wisconsin, you know, the understanding of this, we got it. There was people that maybe didn't quite understand it and get it, but, you know, Willem was, you know, he was directing, but not directing like, you know, some crazed, you know what I mean, you know, movie star who has like, they have to look through the camera in their, you know, in their contract, but directing from the point of the role, I mean, you know, I mean, you spend as much time directing as, I mean, he was there every day, shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't trusting me this much. But it was true because, you know, every moment of every day, and you shoot, this film took, what, 20 days, maybe 21 days to shoot. But the set was built like on, you know, on the Kubrick model of, you know, the lighting is in the set, in the design. And it's totally practical. They're going upstairs, they're going downstairs. That place was there. You know, we had the best club in town. You know what I mean? And we could stay open any hours we want. Because we're not a club, and we don't need a liquor license. Right? You know, it's like, all right. But, you know, the practicality of it, you know, we could have really did it as a long-term thing. You know, you know, a dream of mine when we first, and it still maybe is, to do a Sopranos or Sex and City type series with this, you know, and that's something that, you know, was always in my mind in the beginning.
What was the shooting ratio, especially as you've spoken about using improvisation, and how did that affect how you edited the film?
It takes,
you know, this wasn't shot conventionally. The cameras were very fluid. I mean, correct me if you think differently. So you couldn't even
you can't even
scene, you know.
And then we didn't even have a continuity.
It was so fluid that
the continuity.
Who's counting?
Yeah, who's
It
counting?
also wasn't improvisation. If something is happening right next to you and you're a character, you react to it as the character reacts. There is no improvisation. There's just behavior. You know, if somebody knocks on the door, you say, "Who is it?" You don't improvise what you're going to say. You know, it's just, it's not. I think it's misusing that. Improvisation is not the word to use in this kind of acting and this kind
maybe
of.
that's my fault. I used the word, but there was just a looseness that sometimes, you know, there were scenes that were not.
Yeah, like the scene with like the chef, with the chef.
So
right?
that's not necessarily improvisation. That's just a natural, you know.
I remember being on the stage the last time I was here, which was like 85 years ago. They didn't like any of our other movies since then. No, he took a lot of flack for The King of New York. You know, the people who have the season tickets. We're up for that one. But I remember we did the press conference. It was me, Nikki St. John, Chris Walken, and Wesley Snipes. And, you know, the first question was, you know, a film that looks like a cross between a perfume commercial and a bad B movie. You know, how do you guys feel? You know, Wesley and Nikki, they go, oh wow, what's going on here? But no, they asked about the improvisation, and Chris looked at me like saying, you're not gonna answer that question. Like, he was like, totally, you can't answer that question. You know, it's like, you're not gonna tell where the rabbit came out of the hat. You know, it's like, was it improvised or not improvised? But it's a funny, you know, it's, you know, it's, in terms of what you're saying, first of all, we had a continuity person who never did the job before. So, just keeping track of the takes. Then with, you know, Harvey, you know, trained us into like shooting you know, when you shoot film, you have like a 10.5-minute max, which is nowhere near as long as he needs, right? I mean, you know, we used to conventionally shoot, if you shoot a minute, you know, from an independent, low-budget world, when that camera's running, I'm like the girl at the checkout counter in the grocery store. You know, I mean, that's the one thing I like about the digital. I keep that camera on even when I go home. You know, but I mean, feeling it, and I'm feeling it. Now we have 2 cameras, which means if there's a bad performance, you have it twice. Or if it's out of focus, you have it twice. But then the thing of the hidden cameras, which I kind of made a big deal of, we used some, but it was basically surveillance cameras, but we were able, because the place, we were able to shoot all angles. There weren't lights on the floor, you know what I mean, for the most part. And so we would do long takes. I mean, we just did them. I mean, it's just, I mean, you need the actors to be able to do that. You know what I mean? But when you have actors like the people that are here, you could, you know, and that's, you know, I remember when we first started, it was like, hi, okay, take 2, how are you? Okay, then the scene 3, fine. You know what I mean? Like, so we got, you know, but at least you can perfect the hi, how are you, and fine. When they start doing them 10.5 minutes at a time. And then when you have the video cameras, when the film ran out, the other cameras are going anyway, right? And then when you have that many people on the floor, and no one speaks the same language, you know, it was funny because we would do a take, 10 minutes, right? And I'd be pulling my hair out, right? I'd be ready to go home. Then, you know, Willem was always very calm, don't worry, you know. So we'd have the video place, right? We'd bring everybody there, you know, all the girls, Frankie, so now 50 people, you know, or watch. And, you know, if anybody tried not to watch it, because usually in a film set, they don't like people watching it because they think it's wasting time. Like if anybody tried to sneak away to the bathroom and get a coffee, get everybody in front of them. Now we run the take back, and I'm screaming, you know, you over here, you going, you know, and now we're watching the performance we just did, trying to, you know, educate some uneducated people. But, I mean, there was more people than you see on that screen. You know what I mean?